Hey friends, it's Mari and I'm back today with another project for Honeybee Stamps. I'm going to go through the different products that I'm going to be using from the shop to start off today, and I'm going to show you first here the Fluttering Hearts cover plate. This is a really cool die that is going to cut out all of those heart shapes in an A2 size dimension for my card front. I'm also going to be using this Fluttering Hearts pierced cover plate, and I really love this because for one thing it layers nicely with the Fluttering Hearts cover plate, and it just pierces these heart shapes into your paper. I'm also going to be using the Hello die from the Threshold card honey cuts, and that's going to be the sentiment for the front of my card today. I'm going to be using some of the heart dies from the Heartfelt Pocket Honey Cuts die set. I'm going to be using these 3 different sizes of hearts to embellish my card front. I really love this set and I think there's so many ways you can use this, and today I wanted to use it for embellishing. So let's get right to making our card today. Now, besides these dies, I also wanted to use the Over the Rainbow 6x6 paper pad from the shop. And I just love these colors and patterns. I think they're beautiful. This paper pad has 24 sheets, 12 of each of the different designs. And I was really inspired by this one particular paper that's got the rainbow colors on this one paper. And so I decided that I wanted to use that same color scheme for my project today. So I'm going to do some ink blending using Distress Oxide inks. I'm going to start off with Festive Berries, and I'm going to be blending this onto some Nina Solar White cardstock. This is some 80-pound white cardstock, and this is going to be part of what I'm going to be using for my card front. Now I'm actually going to blend this exact same set of colors onto 2 pieces of paper. I'm only going to show you one because the process is exactly the same for both. And then I'm going to use the Fluttering Hearts cover plate on one and the Fluttering Hearts pierced cover plate on the other. So you're just going to see me do a really simple blend. Like I said, I started with the Festive Berries and now I'm going to go to Worn Lipstick. I'm going to try to recreate that rainbow effect that's on that pattern paper over to the right. And so I'm just going to go from the pinks to the oranges, the yellows. I'm going to use a little bit of greens and some blues, and then lastly some purple. Ink blending is actually one of my very favorite ways of coloring on a project and creating just a little bit of a colored effect. It's super easy to do, and I just think it's so much fun. And in this way, I'm going to create just this really beautiful rainbow effect. So my next color that I'm going with here is Dried Marigold. And I guess one thing that you can think about when you're choosing your colors is how bright you want the colors to be. I just was trying to match up with those colors that are on that polka dot pattern paper. And the nice thing about the Dried Marigold is it's just kind of like a really nice subtle pastel-y kind of an orange. And I really do love this color. I think it's so pretty, and it just seemed to go really nicely with the color palette that's on this particular paper that you see over to the right. So I'm just trying to blend that over. I'm trying to go back over the previous color and blend them together in that way, just using a really nice circular motion to try to create that really soft and subtle blend. Now I'm going in with some squeezed lemonade, and just to create a little bit of yellow blend in there as well, blending up into that Dried Marigold and then down. And I'm actually going to end up going over the colors one more time with all of the same exact color palette, obviously, just to blend them a little bit more darkly. And I don't think I end up doing that on camera. I kind of forget. I guess we'll see what happens. But just so that if you don't see me doing that, I did actually end up going through or over all of these colors twice. So now this is some Twisted Citron. And I love Twisted Citron because it's just sort of like a really subtle, pretty bright green, kind of like a spring green. And it blends very nicely with the squeezed lemonade. So I'm just going to blend that on, going up into that squeezed lemonade again, and then blending down into the white area. The next color that I chose is Faded Jeans, and the reason why I chose Faded Jeans because like obviously there's a lot of blues in the Distress Oxide inks to choose from, but I really like this one because it's kind of a purpley blue. And I really liked how that was actually really similar to the blue that's in that polka dot rainbow paper. So I don't really want this to be super, super dark. So I'm just going to gently get this onto my brush, tap it off a little bit on the side, and then blend it on. I don't want it to be too crazy and dark. And just blending it up into that twisted citron a little bit, and then down into the white area. And lastly, I'm going to finish off with Dusty Concord. And I actually think Dusty Concord is my favorite Distress Oxide color. I absolutely love it. It's so pretty, and it actually matches perfectly with the purple that's at the bottom of that polka dot paper. So I'm just going to blend this on and get that all blended in. Now, one thing that you do want to be careful of when you're using Distress Oxide ink is not to get your fingers all over it before it dries, because it actually will leave fingerprints. So I'm just using a scrap piece of paper there, and I'm going to just use that to hold the paper down while I'm blending this Dusty Concord on. I actually just love this so much, how this looks, and I'm going to blend that up into the faded jeans and try to get a really nice even blend. And then, like I said, I'm actually going to go through these over these colors again and get them all blended nicely. And you can see there how vibrant they are and what a beautiful rainbow blend that is. And now I'm just going to take that plate, that cover plate, and I'm going to go ahead and run this through my machine. And I'm going to do another blended piece and run it through the second cover plate, so that I've got both the pierced cover plate now and both the regular cover plate that actually cuts out the hearts. And I'm just showing you that I went over the green with Mowed Lawn just to darken that green up a tiny little bit. And I went over the pink with a little bit of picked raspberry to darken up the pink. Now I also cut the Fluttering Hearts cover plate with some white cardstock, and I'm going to layer that just to give it a little bit of dimension and pop off of that Fluttering Heart pierced cover plate, just so that it's actually a little bit more thick, that layer on top, and it just gives the card a little more dimension in that way. Now I've put a little bit of liquid adhesive on that first layer, and I'm going to stick it onto the white cardstock layer, and that's going to be my dimensional piece that I'll then use some liquid adhesive on to glue onto my pierced Fluttering Hearts cover plate base. And now you can see the beautiful rainbow colors that we're going to have for our card front. And like I said before, these cover plates are A2 size. They fit perfectly on an A2 size card front. And my card base today is just going to be a white card base. So I'm just going to glue that onto my pierced cover plate piece, and this is so pretty. I love it. And I actually decided that I wanted to add a little bit of sparkle and shine to this with some Imagine Craft Sheer Shimmer Spritz. And so you're going to see me adding that shimmer spritz here to my card. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to just show you here my hearts that I'm using for the dies. I think I showed you those at the very beginning. See, these are the 3 size of hearts that I used. And so I've cut those in a bunch of the different colors from the patterned paper pad. And I've also cut them from a little bit of glitter cardstock as well. So the smallest size is a glitter cardstock, and then the next 2 sizes are from the Over the Rainbow paper pad. And I'm going to put a little bit of foam adhesive on the second layer, the second size of heart, so that the largest heart will go down flat to the card. The next heart on top of that's going to be a little bit dimensional with a little bit of foam adhesive. And then the top heart that goes on top, the smallest heart, I'm going to put that on there with some little glue dots, and that will be the top layer. So these will be my embellishments for my card front. Love this. They're so sweet. And I love how the pattern paper just matches up perfectly with the distress inks on the card. Now here's that shimmer spritz that I was talking about. I've just placed my card in a box on my desk so that this shimmer spritz doesn't go everywhere. And I'm just going to spray that onto my card front. And now just take a look at how beautiful that is. So it makes the Distress Oxide ink react, so that it creates a little bit of interest with the color of the ink, and it's also super, super sparkly. Now I'm going to take a little bit of variegated sparkly twine, and I'm going to add this to the front of my card. I'm just going to tie a really simple bow there, and that twine is actually purple and blue and silver. And now what I'm going to do is take that hello die from the threshold card Honey Cuts. I'm going to cut it 3 times out of white cardstock and stick those all together so that it's really dimensional. And I'm going to finish off with a piece of that same glitter cardstock that I used for the smallest heart in my heart embellishments. And I'm going to add that to the top. And that's going to be the sentiment for the front of my card. And I'm just going to place that above where I have that twine added. So I'm just going to use a little bit of this Nuvo adhesive here. And I'm going to just use my tweezers to hold that. It just makes it a whole lot easier. And I'm going to add a little bit of that adhesive so that I can get this stuck down and adhered to my card. And it is not going to go anywhere. It's going to stick nicely to my card front and stay put. So I'm going to get this stuck onto the top layer of my hello, and I will use the exact same process to apply some liquid adhesive to the back of this whole entire piece and stick this onto my card. I love this technique for creating a really dimensional sentiment on your card. I think it's a really cool look, and I think it's a really great way to use your dies for your sentiments on your projects. So I'm just going to get that all stuck together and then adhered to my card front. And I just felt like the right above that twine was just sort of like a logical place for that sentiment to be. And as I said, I'm just going to get that all glued down nicely so that it doesn't move on my card. And that's a nice thing about using some liquid adhesive for something like this. And it's just going to stay put. So I'm going to adhere that down and my card is going to be finished. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed this process. Please make sure you check out the links in the description box below to the Honeybee shop where you can find the products that I used today for this project. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you have an amazing day and hope to see you here again another time.